Hello, hello. Today is Monday, October 9th, 2023. We have a mega marathon of streams on this Monwan Monday for you, starting off with Survivor 45. I don't know about you guys, but I am super pumped to be talking about another season of Survivor. Just very excited to be back in this world. And I was trying to think of what to, title this episode, and all that really came to mind was Lulu is having a rough time. so, so that's what I called it. And let's just kick this off, huh?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. My name is John Dunphy, and I am joined by my fellow tribe mates, Mr. Kyle Petty, Miss Gina Morgino, and of course, the wonderful and talented Mikey Marmon, who is back with us once again. Very good to have you here with us, Mikey. Really excited to cover this whole season with you. So where do we begin, huh? Where do we begin here? Liz says, Carson said on Twitter that Lulu is on the same beach as Tika was. Okay.
That'll do it. It's a cursed beach.
It's the cursed beach. Yeah. That's really funny, actually. I guess where do we start here? I guess they had their first competition, right? And this is where we knew right from the start, I think, that Lulu was going to have a tough time because, of course, poor Brandon couldn't climb up that ladder. I got to tell you, I feel really bad for Brandon. I know we're talking about 2 episodes tonight, and by the time we get to the end of episode 2, Brandon's story will be over. But he really had a rough go from the start of this thing.
Can I be honest? I don't have any sympathy for the man. He knew. Listen, here's the thing. If I find out that I'm going to be on Survivor, I am showing up on that beach in the best shape of my entire life. Like, I'm training. Like, I'm like, it's $1 million at stake here. Like, clearly this man did nothing to prepare for this. Maybe he watched some videos, but like, there's like a physical component to this. Like, you need to, like, at the very least, be able to climb a ladder. That's insane to me. I don't know. I can't get behind
it. Okay. I mean, not to be the dissenter so early in the evening, but no. I just think that it's fair enough to say that, like, listen, he fumbled in the beginning and kind of messed up getting on the ladder, like getting out of the boat. Right. And he was really the only one to be starting from a point of like in the water, just floating around, like trying to get out of it. I feel like that is extremely more challenging. Yes, he made a mistake. No, he may not be as fit as possible. But there's also a world in which he could have been the person on the ship that just had to unravel the thing and like get it down. Then we wouldn't even be talking about his physical failures.
Sure.
So,
but also,
poor
like,
guy.
That's day one. He's fully fed. Like, he's showing up. That's his peak. That is his peak physical condition that he's gonna be at.
You'll never be better than this moment.
Like that's it. Like that's the starting point. That's a problem.
Right. It can only go down.
It can only go down. You're only gonna get hungrier.
That's totally fair. That's fair.
Do we know how old is Brandon now? Does anybody know? Did we know his age is coming into the season?
No.
Did it say on his thing?
It says it somewhere, I'm sure. A lot of them are 27 on like the
let's say like mid 20s is like a good approximate guess, I guess, right? As the guy who's like the big super fan, that says that he's wanted to be on the show since he was 11. It seems like he did a lot more dreaming about being on the show than actually preparing to be on it.
Yeah.
I mean, because look at Carson. Carson gained, what did he gain? Like 40 pounds or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
He prepared. He was prepped. He was ready to go. And I'm not saying you have to come in with a 6-pack by any means, but like, you should be ready. To
climb a ladder.
You should be able to climb a ladder.
But then we're also then just talking about ready physically, right? Because Carson caught a lot of heat for being almost over prepared with his preparation with these 3D puzzles and creating them from home. So like Where do we draw the line?
issue
And
there,
what's
though,
acceptable?
like, I never had an issue with Carson with that. I had an issue with production.
That's on the
Like,
show.
don't, you know, like that's not, you know, Carson found a way to be extra prepared
Fair.
and took it. That's
I don't
not his
disagree,
problem.
but that's also, you are one of the you're part of a minority in that. Like, a lot of
Which
people
is wild, I
give
feel like.
Carson a lot of heat for just having done it in the first place.
A lot of people are stupid.
Yeah, I think that's a little ridiculous.
Oh my God. Well, as
a
we
lot
saw,
of
in the
people are
game.
stupid.
well, as we saw in episode 2, and as Jeff pointed out, this was a new puzzle that they got in episode 2.
Mhm.
So
I think he said
clearly,
the first episode too.
Oh yeah,
It was a brand new puzzle also.
Yeah.
Because
Yes,
Carson
because that was
tweeted, "This is my
much-
impact."
Ballyhooed. Yes.
Like, honestly, good.
Yeah.
Finally, people have to do their jobs.
Easy. Great even.
Oh, good.
Oh man. Well, we've been talking a lot, you know, in not the best way about Brandon, but at least he didn't quit the show. So
Which we
go.
can get into all the same conversation topics too. Like, if
Same
you
exact thing,
know,
yep.
if you know you're gonna be on Survivor, how on like night 1 are you sitting there being like, I'm hungry, my feet are wet, I want a cigarette? You didn't even try to quit smoking cigarettes before you went on a deserted island for how long? Like, how did you not prepare? You know what you're
Exactly.
signing up for.
I actually, for whatever reason, the one that gets me the most about Hannah is the complaint about wet feet. For some reason, that's the one that annoys me the most, because it's like, you know that this is a game where you're going to be living on a beach for 4 weeks. Like, I don't know. That's the one that bothers me more than anything else. Like,
I can walk outside in the rain here and get wet feet. Like, why are you complaining?
Also, like, we are talking about $1 million. $1 million. The shit I would do for $1 million is insane. So the fact that you're not willing to be hungry, have wet feet, I don't know. I can't deal with that kind of behavior. I'm not saying that I think it's easy to do this show by any means, but you know what you're signing up for. You at the very least have an idea. Like
I know that I would not fare well under these conditions, which is why you will never see me auditioning for Survivor. Like, if you know exactly what you're signing up for, this show's been on for 45 seasons.
yeah. I know Kyle's got something to say over there based on the looks he's given.
Listen, everyone always wants to cancel me, but my thing is that, like, you can watch a show and think that you're so ready for so many different things. And it's not even necessarily that she said she thought she was going to ace this thing. She said that she thought she could play. And like, that also comes with, I'm sure, some assumption that, like, I'm probably not going to win, right? I'm playing a game with 16 other people. Chances are you are going to lose. I'm not being a pessimist. This is being realistic. But in keeping with that, like, do you maybe sometimes you could sit back and say, you know what, maybe I can get through this. If I'm pushed, I can really challenge myself. You could arrive there. There have been so many situations in my life that I thought I had ace in the hole. And I get there and I'm like, uh-oh, wait a minute. This is not what I thought it was. I got to get the hell out of here. But there's not a whole big group of people ready to shut me down for having made that decision. So, like, I'm not getting a blowback like that. So some of the reasons that she listed for wanting to leave sound really lame, like when you isolate it. But when you take everything together, be like, you know what? This is a little bit more than I bargained for. I was totally wrong. Like, like, I don't know. Like, we don't want to give her some credit for saying that, whereas you could have stayed in the game and let somebody else go that actually kind of does have the constitution for it, that maybe actually could push through a little bit. I don't know. Like, there's no side that we can give Hannah a little bit of grace.
I mean, yes, but also, like, sure, she could have let one of the 16 in the cast go forward, but like, she's already beaten out thousands of other people to be there.
Yeah.
There are thousands of other
until
people.
that point, you felt really good. You felt like, and maybe you didn't. Maybe you're like, you know what? I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't know why I'm doing this. Maybe I should stop. But like, people keep encouraging you. It's like, no, it's gonna be so good for you, Hannah. It's gonna be good.
It's like, I don't
know.
know. It feels.
I don't know.
From an outside perspective, it just feels like she didn't even try. But like, sure, she was there for a couple of days. But like, I don't know. I just can't get behind the quitting. I can't.
No, that was certainly my attitude when watching the episode. It was only because I saw how much hate she was getting after the fact that I came up with this whole other argument. Like, that's really not where I stood. Like when I first,
just like I feel for the alternate that now has to go home and watch like the spot that they almost got.
Right.
Because go to somebody who dipped on the first elimination. Like,
yeah, I think that these are all fair points, which is part of the reason that I kind of wanted to bring up Hannah and Brandon first, because like I know we're kind of going out of order by talking about the two people that aren't even there anymore. But I thought it was interesting. Like a lot of what Kyle was saying, like I agree with the Hannah stuff. And I think it's awful that she was so concerned about the hate that she was going to get once this aired, that she dyed her hair. So she's now a brunette and not a blonde. Like that is not right to feel that way. Like you have to change your appearance to sort of protect yourself. Like that's really messed up.
Basically going into hiding.
Yeah.
She's scared she's going to get canceled, and now her personal life is being affected because people are leaving like negative reviews on her business. Like
that's
right. It's like I know that we are sitting here on a reality TV podcast, but like the fandom piece of a lot of these shows gets way out of hand a lot of time. Like we see it happen on Big Brother all the time, that like somebody will put someone on the block that we don't want them to target, and now all of a sudden the Yelp reviews for their business are like tanking. Like we saw it happen to Heisem this season. Like it's really crazy. Bad. It's really bad.
Well, that's also, I was listening to like their official podcast, the one that Jeff is on, and he mentioned like the reason that he didn't go in on her like in the moment for quitting, because like he used to like, if somebody was quitting, he used to be a hard ass. He would have railed into them. Yeah. But he said like they literally were like, the reason that we didn't do that is because of the online community now, because they would just feed into that, and it would probably be worse than it already is. Right. So yeah, no, that stuff is, I think that's crazy and too far. And I don't understand how you could be that invested. I just can't like wrap my mind around caring that much.
It's too much. Our entire lives is centered around reality TV. We've never once behaved that way. No, like not once.
There have been people that we have like talked smack about on this podcast and then saw at house shops and we're like, we're dancing with you now. Like we are friends. We love these people. Like
interesting use of the word we, but okay.
I know. I don't dance, Kyle. Okay. I know. I get it.
Just couldn't leave that dangling. I'm sorry.
All right.
I wanted to ask you guys, there's something else that I thought was interesting. Like, I do get why Jeff would sort of change up how he approaches, when people quit because of the online fandom and stuff and how negative it can be sometimes. But did you think it was interesting that once Hannah did leave, the next time they had, a challenge and all three tribes met up again, Jeff said, Reba and Bello, take a look at the new Lulu tribe. Hannah voted out last night. And while technically sort of an informal vote was taken where Jeff said, like, would everybody vote Hannah out? And everybody was kind of like, yeah, I guess so. I think they didn't really vote her out. Did you think it was odd that he told the other tribes that they voted her out as opposed to she kind of forced her way out? Because I think could that change how certain people in the different tribes, could that change how they think? Because we've seen a lot of like Kendra, right, Katura and Kelly talking about how they always see, it's women that are getting voted out first. Like, are they going to look at the members of Lulu tribe in a negative way because like they think that they voted out a woman first? Meanwhile, we know as an audience that Hannah, she was going to leave no matter what, whether they voted her out or they got back to the beach. And then she went to production and said, I'm leaving. Get me out of here. Like, I thought it was a little odd that he handled it that way with the cast in that moment, but I don't know.
I agree with that. I registered that too. And I was like, oh, that's odd. But eventually, I mean, if anybody from Lulu survives to the merge, they're going to hear the truth of what happened. I'm sure at some point, like there's no way it doesn't get talked about on the beach, even if we don't see it. So I don't think it really will affect too much moving forward. Yeah. But yeah, that is strange that he didn't say that she left the game. Yeah.
Right.
I didn't even notice.
I also thought, this is my last thing on Hannah and Brandon. Like, it's funny that like, obviously Brandon really wanted to be there very bad, but like was having, it seemed like, just as difficult of a time as Hannah. So it was interesting to me that they both ended up in the same tribe and like were a support for each other at one point. Like the first episode was literally titled "We Can Do Hard Things," and that was like something that Hannah kept repeating, and it was Brandon who kept saying like, "We got to push through, you have to persevere." Like it's just interesting to me that the two of them struggled the most, were like the only support each other had, and then one quit and the next one was just out immediately.
So sad.
But okay, let's get into some other stuff. So before our first actual competition where Reba won and got their Flint, there was an incident because now Bruce from Survivor 44 has returned, and he was trying to play things down, like be like, listen, you know, my experience in this game pretty much like ends here. Like after this, like I had a head injury and I was pretty much evacuated like 12 hours later. So like, don't think of me of having an advantage. And of course, Emily
immediate clap
had
back.
To speak out. Yeah. What did you think of Emily going so hard at Bruce, like just immediately?
What's the play there? What are you trying to prove? Like what I mean, maybe turn his tribe against him, but that early on, I don't know. That put a sour taste in my mouth with her for sure.
Yeah, me too. We didn't even get to see the seashore yet before you were already like coming for somebody. It's like easy, hon, easy.
And like also at the end of the day, he was right. Like he was on the beach a day? Like I don't even think he made it past the first night, right?
No, did he?
No,
really. No, not past the first night. I think he was evacuated in the night.
During the
yeah.
So the only advantage he has is having played the first challenge, which he got a concussion during.
It kind of didn't even,
And maybe if he has relationships with the rest of the cast, he has some like insider information. But half the old players are on TikTok now doing tell-alls every other day. So I could probably get the same information from a different source without ever having to speak to them. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So he's absolutely correct in that moment that he had no further advantage from being a player from being a previous player, because he was barely a previous player.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How much of an advantage do you think it is, like, if you have gone through the process of like sort of like preparing for the show, like you've been chosen, you travel from your home to the island, and then you have like those 3 days of like kind of being in isolation and just talking to production and the press and stuff. Like, do you think there's any real advantage if you've done that before? Like, because Bruce was in the game for like 12 hours, but like in those couple of days that lead up to the start of the game, like, do you think that, you know, there is like a huge benefit to like having done this only a year previously? You know, like I know how to get into the right mindset for the game to now start. Like, I still don't think that. Yeah.
From my understanding, like they're not getting much information in that time. They're not even allowed to speak to each other, I think.
Right.
So I don't really see, like, maybe like there's a little bit of a mental preparation that was helpful for him, but I can't imagine that he's getting too much from having done that twice.
Yeah, I don't know if they necessarily get to like really game, but I think they do get to talk to each other a little bit, because I don't remember who was interviewing him, but Owen was in a clip saying that what's her name? He had met Kelly because Kelly was supposed to be an alternate on his season, and they had met while they were in like that sequester thing before. Like he had like talked to her and met with her and spoke to her before they went on the island, and then she ended up not getting chosen for that season because she was an alternate and is now on this season. So he had like picked her as his winner pick or one of his draft picks or whatever. But like there at least is a little piece that like they got to meet and know each other and talk to each other a little bit, which I don't know if that necessarily gives you an upper hand in a later season, but you're at least getting like the social aspect a little bit.
Maybe so, but I don't think it even speaks to like experience at all, because like you didn't really get to try any of it. So whatever knowledge you feel like you may have
before you
got in there, like none of it was tested. So like, did that really give you a leg up? Like you couldn't even view it as one. You don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just odd to me. Like, it doesn't really make sense to me why Emily would blow up that way, the way she did so early. But even the fact that just you're not even in the same tribe, like even if you think that in these first couple of days he does have some kind of advantage over everybody else, you're not in a position where you have to work with him or really like or anything like that until the merge. If you both get there, like it doesn't make sense to start fights with people in other tribes literally not even 5 minutes into the game. Like,
No, definitely not.
But all right. So we had to now pick players from Lulu and Bello to go and do this Sweat and Savvy competition because they did not get their flints in this first competition like Reba did. So for Bello, who was it that went? It was
Bello was Jake, right? And Brando?
That's right. Jake and Brando. And then for Lulu, it was Caleb and Sabaya, right?
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Much of the chagrin of Miss Emily.
Yeah. Oh my
yeah.
God, that was
Another-
so ridiculous.
Yeah. Another absolutely ridiculous take from
Awful.
Emily.
I can't believe they went to get. They were so quick to volunteer, and it's like, yeah, to do something. Like, why didn't you volunteer?
exactly.
Everybody should be
Just stand up.
volunteering. Like,
That didn't really sit right with me. So then you go.
Yeah.
So tired of her.
Right.
I didn't see you raising your hand and be like, yeah, I'll play the competition. Like, so they did because they're
Right,
trying to
right.
provide for you.
Didn't in past
yeah.
seasons also they separate Sweat and Savvy? Wasn't it two different
Yeah, it's
things?
you have the option.
pick.
Right. This
But
was
now all of a sudden
different,
it's
right?
together. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
so
did
this
you-
was, and it would also be in the past on your own tribe's beach, right? Like you would go to your camp, your beach,
Yeah.
and then you would choose either Sweat or Savvy. Whereas this year, it was the two teams that didn't get their flint going to a beach together and having to do both Sweat and Savvy. They had 1 hour to complete a physical task of moving 40 heavy logs 200 feet across the beach and then completing this puzzle to get their flint. I kind of liked watching the face-off of seeing like the two losing tribes from the first competition have to go at it. But it was kind of unsatisfying to me to see them both lose and neither of them get it. Like I almost wish there was no time limit and it was just whoever completes these two tasks first gets the flint, because maybe one of them was only 10 minutes away from getting it, like, I don't know, it kind of felt very hollow to me to like have this big competition, this new format, and it's like nobody gets anything. You both fail.
Yeah. And I also think that, like, while I'm sure there's probably a clear reason for them to have been separated to do this, to like kind of sow that doubt within the tribe, I also think it might have been interesting to have the whole tribe there, like have it almost like another challenge rather than something that's totally separate, because then there's like an element of like being cheered on and like we're like,
Because normally, like when they were choosing between Sweat or Savvy, they all did it together, right? Like it was like a community building thing almost. Or am I wrong in
they
that?
still had to pick two,
Yeah.
but they were still on the beach. So like at the end of the day, like if you wanted to stand there on the side of the beach and you were like done doing whatever, you probably could have been like, hey guys, go for it. Yeah, you got this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, I hear you. I enjoyed like the setting up the camps and everything for each tribe too. Like that, what was that shelter that Lulu tried to put together? It was not even a shelter.
Can't do much without a machete.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. But yeah. All right. So we had our first immunity challenge, which of course Reba and Bello got immunity for that. So of course we found out Lulu was going to the tribal council. It's just good to see these Survivor competitions again. Like I love these obstacle course physical things with puzzles and stuff. Like Survivor competitions, I think, are just my favorite competitions in any of these shows that we watch. They're so much fun to me.
Agreed.
I don't really agree or disagree.
Always just like, it looks like so much fun to like, it's like take those like obstacle courses or whatever and pull them out of that situation and like,
Sure.
I would have
play.
a blast. That would be so much fun. I want to jump off that thing and smack the thing and get the key and do the balance beam.
You've always said that your dream job is to be the person who demos the competitions.
I would, in a heartbeat, I'd pay to do it. I would pay money to go and do that. It just like seems like such a blast. And like obviously they're starving and it can't be that fun all the time and there's stress and all that. But like I agree. They look like so much fun.
Yeah, I mean, they just seem so intricate, you know? It's like you have to transfer this, and then once you get to here, you have to use these coconuts to try to get the net to sink down and hit the ground, and once it does that, your key will be, released, and then you can go and get the puzzle pieces. Like, it's just so, like, it's very fun, you know?
Yeah.
It's very fun.
Even, like, just that, if I'm skipping forward a little bit, that idol that Sabaya got, just like the having to figure out to smash the machete on the vine and drop the coconut, and now she's got to melt it. Like, it's like that kind of stuff is cool. It's like an escape room, but an island, and there's $1 million at stake.
Yeah, well, let's talk about these beware advantages too, because there were 2 of them that were found, right? There was Austin found one, and then Brandon technically found it for Lulu, but didn't want to touch it, so he gave it to Sabaya. Did you like how, like, they're similar, but like I like how they're doing these clues, like the fact that what Austin found was like this little thing that he could use to decipher the code on the tribe like sign that was there at the beach, but then Sabaya's was like, place this paper over your tribe map and like it'll reveal a tree that like has this idol in it. Like, I really liked how they did that. I think I like this better than like those cages that they had.
Oh, absolutely.
I think what's nice about it too is that it's individual. Like, they don't have to rely on other team members to do these things at this point. Like, it's nice to have help, of course, but like these are things that like someone could go off and do on their own, which I think,
like, even with like the beads and stuff and like all of that, like there is so much that like you need to like have a lot of puzzle pieces fit together in your, like, you have to like finesse it a little rather than literally just being an escape room.
Yeah, that escape room stuff I think is a lot of fun. So it's cool to like see them go in that direction with it. I've been enjoying this version of the Beware Advantage, I think, more than any of the past versions.
For sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also think like, not that this really could have been planned for, but it is so awesome to me that Sabaya got her next part of this clue or whatever, and it's a candle that she has to burn, but they can't burn it because they still don't have their flint.
What are the odds of that? That is
the producers were like, yes.
That is unbelievably funny that happened that way. Because like, you're right, there's no way they could have planned that. There's absolutely no way. And the fact that like the way that was edited, like the build up to it, they were like, yeah, they got it. Yes, they're gonna do it. No, they're not. Like, it was that was good stuff. That was good TV.
Yeah.
Oh my god, so good. And you can see how desperate they are too. I think there was one point where Brandon was sitting on the beach trying to use like his glasses to get the sun to like start burning like the kindling or whatever, like a kid with a magnifying glass, like trying to like oh my god, it was so funny. But Austin still hasn't found his yet, right? We still didn't see him like actually find it yet. I know he has to like dig at the tree with the X or whatever, underneath it, but like we haven't actually seen him get it yet, I don't think. So he still doesn't have a vote either, and Sabaya doesn't have a vote.
But I think the thing with Austin too is because I think he was like trying to do it secretly until he told Drew about it now. So now he's got help. But I think he was like waiting for moments to do that without being seen.
Yeah.
Up until that point.
Which is interesting too, because now I'm really jumping around, but on the next portion at the end of episode 2, it looks like Drew gets caught digging for something. So that could be interesting to watch for as we move forward here. Okay. I'm trying to think if there's anything else really from like episode 1. We had tribal council, like we talked about. Hannah had a meltdown and quit. So
a meltdown. I do have something from episode 1 that I want to talk about that actually isn't from episode 1, but I heard Rob Cesternino talking about this, that apparently there was a twist from this episode that nobody got to see.
Oh, was this Kendra, right? Like going down the beach?
The winning tribe got to send Kendra to Lulu to kind of like scope everything out, watch, like be around them, try to like talk to people. And she got to cast a vote through tree mail to send somebody home from that tribe after that, like during that tribal council. And first of all, I think it's very annoying that we now have these extended episodes and they somehow didn't have enough time to show us this. But I think that's like, I wonder if that's the only time that something like this is going to happen throughout the season, because he only found out about it in his exit interview with Hannah. So she obviously, her only frame of reference is that tribal, but like,
do you think they decided like do you think they decided they didn't want to show us because
there was no vote?
There was no vote. Yeah. So what's the point of having her spend time there, cast a vote, if Hannah's going to quit anyway?
If it's not going to affect anything. I get
but
that.
It could affect a lot later, though. Like, she got to spend a lot of time there and get a lot of information. I think there's like something interesting to be said there about the social strategy of also her being able to maybe make alliances for later down the road.
That's
well, we do know that we're going to see tribes visiting other tribes' camps, because we know that there's going to be a raid at some point. Yeah. I know Jeff said that. So
it seems like they're like doing some Australian Survivor twist this time around, which is exciting. I hope there's more of that kind of thing, because Australian Survivor loves that kind of bring the other tribe to tribal council and let them watch kind of deal. That's something that they do over there quite a bit. So hopefully there's more of that coming along the way.
Fingers crossed.
Okay. We've been talking about a lot about the mess that Lulu is. One tribe that has really had it together pretty well is Reba. They've had their Flint from the beginning. They've been getting immunity. But I think Sifu is interesting to me. Another person that's on my team. There's like an interesting group though that's forming within Reba. That's Austin, Drew, Julie, right? And is it Jay? Is that Jay D's the other one. That's right. What do you think about this alliance that's formed within Reba here?
I'm happy to see two of my picks working together, sticking together. I wish them the best. Drew and D, let's go.
Oh man!
Listen. I like D. I get good vibes from her. There is something about Drew that, like, I don't know. I'm just having a hard time getting behind.
Get her out of here.
I'm having a hard time getting behind Drew. I don't know. It's about, I want to be the king. I just want to dominate. My realm is going to just expand to all the seashores. I'm like, just stop. Just go crack a coke and go sit down somewhere, please.
It seems like he's being set up to be another like villain in this season, though, which is a lot of fun. So
yeah, that goes out like pre-jury or something like that. Some of them
maybe
up a whole lot. Like, what was his name from Australia? Like AK or whatever his name was.
Oh my God, yes. AK.
Yes, very villain, then all of a sudden out of here. And it's like, I would see Drew kind of suffering the same fate.
Yeah, I see. Maybe. Yeah. I wish him the best. I want him to go all the way to the end. I'm looking for a final four of Katara.
I wonder why.
D and Drew.
I thought it was fun. Like, did you like the segment of about D's like giant big toes and how she was like, yeah, well, when I win because of balance. Thank you, Matt Blevins. Yeah.
Well, hold on now. I mean, I said I like D. My issue is Drew.
But to speak on that point though, what's cool about these hour-and-a-half long episodes is that we're getting those moments again. Like we get to. I don't think last season we would have got to hear Dee talk about her toe for very long. I don't think like we got that moment. We got that moment. We got the funny moment where they were all trying to wear the Buffs' shirts and Brando put his on too. Like there was a lot of like beach life stuff, which was cool to see. And
see how they get
it's on. Also and what's cool about that is even because it's such a small cast and now we're getting those moments, like there's not I feel like I know who everybody is more than I have in the past.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like there's a couple that are kind of like so stuck together right now that it's hard that like it's like but for the most part like I have a good idea of who each of these characters are, which is nice.
Sure. Yeah. Agreed.
With Reba too, like I'm bummed that Jay seems to be on the outs because, you know, she's one of mine and I really like her.
Who?
I'm a little
Jay Maya.
Yeah.
Kyle
Well,
said, "Who?"
I think her name really is like Janani or something like that, but they've been calling her Jay.
Didn't she have like a
but
Maya in her name with like J. Maya? Didn't she also
J.
go with,
Maya
like...
is what they've been
Yeah.
calling her.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
I'm saying, don't you discredit me. I'm like, I know a couple of things.
But I'm so I was a little bummed that she wasn't included in that like little group that they were talking about with Reba, but I guess you can't make it so big. There's only 6 people at each tribe.
Right, it's also only day 3 or 4, like at this point. Like, who knows where she'll end up, like as we
Yeah, it's too early to
Yeah, it's very early.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
So there's hope. There's hope.
There is.
So okay. What's
Janani Krishnan Jha is her full name, and her stage name is Jay Maya because she's a singer.
Okay.
Yeah. Is she a singer now?
Singer-songwriter, yeah.
This certainly speaks to us.
That's right.
We'll have to find her.
So we've talked about the mess that Lulu is. Reba's been doing great. Bello also has
single
been doing
mom that
well.
works too hard.
I
Also
was wondering how long that would take.
Underrated that there's a tribe called Reba. It is the Red Tribe, and on that tribe, there are a single mom who works. It never stops. That's incredible. Incredible work. Good job.
I love how excited you are about
I love Reba McEntire. I couldn't name a single song other than the theme song of her TV show, but she's great. More Reba.
Okay.
So she's been showing up on my TikTok because she's on The Voice right now.
All right.
That's great.
Strat Chat loves Reba.
Yeah. I think
I don't
this should
dislike
be
her. I guess I'm fine with that.
Yeah. I think this should be a clip at some point.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we've talked about Lulu a lot. We've talked about Reba a lot. I wanted to talk about Bello because we were mentioning Bruce before. He's a returning player. He has decided that his strategy is to not be the dad of the tribe, but to be the fun uncle of the tribe. And then he immediately starts to tell everybody what to do like a dad. He's also been very silly. We've seen him do the robot at times. It seemed like he was like playing peekaboo at one point when he was going on that trip on the boat where he was like ducking down and then would pop back out and like everybody would laugh on the beach. He's been getting along with Jake a lot, I can tell. But one person that is not having any of Bruce's antics is Katura. What do you think?
I'm a big fan of this dynamic. I want to see more of it. There is nothing funnier to me than someone just so incredibly done with the shit. I love it.
And somebody else who's also blissfully unaware of said completion with him.
It's so good. It's good. I also the fact that like it's like I have 2 members of one tribe that are working together, getting along, and then I have the other tribe, and they are. It's good.
I think Bruce sucks. Okay. So sorry. I was so jazzed about him coming back, and I find him to be so annoying. I would find all these antics to be a little bit condescending. Like there's an air of it, like, you know, I'm the seasoned person. I'm older than you. So look at me being fun to make you feel comfortable. It's like, man, you didn't even make it through one whole night. I don't need you to make me feel comfortable. I make you feel comfortable because you're on the outsides of this whole thing. Ugh. Oh,
like it's just so funny to me how he was the one that was so vocal about like, I don't know any more than you guys do. I barely got to play this game, but he's always the one being like, that's not how you do that.
Exactly.
Don't do it like
I
that.
also know everything better. Like I don't actually know better than you, but the thing is that I do. So I'm going to tell you what to do because like honestly, that's a waste of time. You shouldn't be weaving palm fronds. You should be like, I don't know, whatever he said you should be doing. No matter what it was, there was always something to the contrary that should be done.
Yeah.
With just like no validation for what the people were doing in the first place. Like that's not how you lead. At least if he wants, I understand why you're doing this. Like, no. Just everything you're doing is a waste.
If he really was trying to like play this like not dad character, then he needed to either shut the fuck up entirely or find a way to like you were saying, like find a way to like sow those seeds and get things done without coming on so strong. And he didn't find that balance by any means.
Not at all. And now we're just
So-
resorting to complete silliness
Yeah,
to try and like fix things. And it's like,
and it's also like the
So
problem with that too is like I get Katara's point of view entirely, because if someone
oh,
is
yeah,
like
totally.
if someone is at 1 second like being a complete idiot and like goofing around and like being silly playing peekaboo, and then the next minute is trying to tell me what to do, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Go play peekaboo over there. We don't need, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, and you have to also wonder what Emily's influence kind of had on this too, because you might have actually sat back and saw him as just like this silly, goofy man, because you didn't really have much of an impression of him going into the situation. But because she already painted him as somebody that looks threatening, what he's doing feels almost like an act of desperation, almost like I'm trying to overcompensate for the fact that she did this. And it's like we might actually be seeing some of the effects of, Emily's shenanigans.
possibly.
Which, hate to say it, but I mean, it's like at least half a feather in her cap. She knocked somebody out before we even got to the seashore. Right? So somebody's already overcompensating. You don't even know this woman. Like, does he even remember what her name is? Like at this stage?
Right.
Because she's all the way over there. Right? So I don't know.
And like, to bring it back to Emily too, what's interesting about what's going on with her too is that if she does manage to like make this change that she's trying to make, like that she's been working with Caleb and all that stuff on, and she makes it far, she's got a hell of a story already. You know what I mean? So, and if she could also add, I got Bruce eliminated because I sowed that seed.
I know.
I can see if she makes it past merge, I could see her doing really well. I don't know that she'll make it past merge, because I don't know that Lulu is going to start winning all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's really the thing. I could easily see Lulu back at Tribal Council this week. So
I think a lot of what it comes down to too is because they haven't had fire. It's like they're not eating. Like, how do you can't, like, how once you lose that strength, like how do you build it up again? While the other two tribes they have all this fishing gear now and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, they are at such a disadvantage that it's going to be very, very hard for them to get past where they're at.
Yeah. Well, I do think that like the people that are left on Lulu are the best.
They're the best of the six.
Yeah, bless Brandon's heart, but like he was not helping them in any way. Like now at the next immunity challenge, the other two tribes are gonna have to sit out two people to even things up, right? And it's like this might be the best team that Lulu is gonna be putting into an immunity challenge so far. The problem is they haven't eaten all week, so
that's exactly
right.
Yeah, because I mean, like, that's the thing too. Like, Emily wasn't floundering around in the challenges. Like, she nailed that balance beam just as good as Caleb did. Like, so
we'll see.
We shall see.
So let's talk about this little excursion. There was an interesting power that was gained from this. So we had Bruce from Bello, Drew from Reba, and Brandon from Lulu all get on a boat and go to this little island. First, they kind of just talked to each other and got to know each other, and then they each had to take a different path. And they got to one of these, risk your vote scenarios. And basically, the game that they had to play was there was a bunch of different tiles on one side. There were little patterns, lines, and things like that. And then the other side, there were numbers. All of the tiles had a matching tile except for 3 of them. So they had to find all the matches, and then the 3 tiles that were left without matches, the numbers that were on the opposite sides of those tiles, they had to use to get a combination. Once they got it, they could pull the key from the lever, and the advantage would drop out. So Bruce chose not to risk his vote. He did not play. Brandon and Drew did. Brandon failed. Lost his vote, didn't get the advantage, but we saw Drew get this advantage, and it was safety without power. What do you think of this, where he now has the ability all the way down to the point where there's 10 people in the game, which is pretty far into the game, I feel. He can use this power where he just gets to get up and walk out of the tribal, right? Doesn't have to be there for the vote, doesn't cast a vote, but nobody can vote for him. What do you think about this?
It's giving Australian Survivor once again. That's the kind of, I'm pretty sure they've had, if not the same exact advantage, something very similar on some of those seasons. I think it's a cool advantage because it's like you said, it's a get out of free card, like get out of jail free card. It's literally like if he feels tribal going a certain way, get up and get out. Don't have to worry about counting the votes in your head. I think it's a solid advantage. And it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out since he told everybody about it.
That's the thing. Yeah, I don't know that I would have been so free with that information.
Yeah, it's hard to say too, because I agree with you. Like, I don't know, like that's something that I don't know, but it also seemed to have worked out in his favor, at least with getting Austin on his side and getting that trust going.
It is a tough one because since this one was one of the excursion ones, it's like everybody knows that you left and may or may not have come back with something. So it is kind of hard to toe that line of like, what do you tell them? Yeah. But I don't know that I necessarily would have pulled out the paper and been like, here, this is what I have.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really hard to say because I don't know, because it could like very well, like if he tried to tell them a different story, they very well could have been like, that's fake. Like you're lying. And then there's all that mistrust showed. And then he has to use the advantage right away, you know?
Right.
Yeah. So at least he might at the very least be buying himself a tribal or two.
Like, it's interesting because everything's been going right for Reba so far. So they're all in like great spirits, but it's like, you know, so like I do think it's a good idea, like what they were talking about, like, oh, like once we get to the merge, you know, whichever ones of us are left, like we can kind of share this if somebody wants to leave a tribal early or whatever. But it's like you might lose a couple of people along the way. That still means somebody, you know, at least a couple of people aren't going to benefit from this. So
right,
I don't know. Maybe he ends up becoming a target too, and people want to flush this out, you know, at some point.
Well, that was my concern. Yeah, is that they're going to be like, well, let's make him feel very unsafe very quickly, so he just uses it and now it's done.
Yeah.
I think I would just tell people what was up for grabs and say I lost, like whatever it was, like it just didn't work out for me. I didn't get it.
Yeah, it's hard to say because I feel like from like for knowing who he is and like they've spent all this time with him, like if he was like, yeah, there was a puzzle but I lost it, I'd be like, that doesn't seem right. Like it doesn't have lied to the challenge, but dig that lie, the harder it is to keep up because then somebody gets to talk to Bruce or well, obviously they wouldn't get to talk to Brandon, but somebody gets to talk to one of those other guys and they tell them what the story is and then it gets back and then now Drew is a liar through and through. So yeah, it's a tough situation because of the journey aspect of it.
Right.
Yeah. So very interesting. It'll be interesting to watch what happens with these advantages moving forward, especially like I was saying, because it looks like Drew is going to get caught. Whatever he was digging for, I'm assuming is where he thinks Austin's, you know, advantage or idol is or whatever. So like, we'll see what happens. He could end up being the target this next episode for all we know. Reba could lose and he could get caught doing something shady and then he could be the next one on the chopping block for all we know. So
good thing he's got an advantage.
Exactly. But okay, and the next immunity challenge, which we did talk about briefly with balance beams and everything, it was a lot of jumping into the water, getting across this beam, having to swim, and it was somewhat close. LULU was actually in a pretty good spot when they got to the puzzle portion, the end of the competition. And this really spelled the end for Brandon in this game. He failed miserably at this puzzle. I think they had like 5 pieces total by the time both Reba and Bello finished. And there was a lot of pieces in this puzzle, and like they made basically no progress. So LULU back on the chopping block, Reba and Bello with immunity. And as we saw kind of before Tribal, everybody knew it's either Emily or Brandon. Just you know, figure out how they want to handle this. And they kept showing Emily, you know, trying to make amends for past sins and all that. She gave her shot in the dark to Sabaya and all that. So I wasn't surprised at all, to be honest, when we got to the vote and it was Brandon voted out in this second tribal council.
I think they would have been dumb to send her home at that point because then they're never winning again if that happens.
I will say this like budding relationship between her and Caleb is very interesting.
Agreed.
Yeah, he seemed to be the one that really opened the door for any kind of redemption for her, because Sabaya has still been.
And he's almost like
hesitant.
coaching her.
Yeah,
it's interesting. It's also like, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to see how that's going to play out for them. If that makes her, if she feels like sort of indebted to him in a way, and if she cares that she feels indebted to him too. She's she's kind of a wild card, which is interesting.
Yeah. All right. So disappointing to see the premiere end with a quit. But other than that, honestly, it's just been great to be back in the survival world for these first 2 episodes. I feel like we're gonna get into a groove, and I liked this cast for the most part anyway. So just excited to see where it goes from here.
Why are you giggling over there?
I'm giggling because it is always disappointing to kick off a season with like a quit, but like there was a certain level of satisfaction that came with Team Morgino getting a hit right out of the gate. Like,
I don't know. I mean, like it remains to be seen, but I think first draft pick is a cursed position. I think maybe we don't want to be the first draft pick anymore.
She was your first draft?
No. Like I was the first person to choose.
Oh, okay.
Which is where John went wrong in Big Brother.
Yeah, John was first to pick for Big Brother, and he got absolutely decimated. Like we still have a month
I think it's
of
a
game
cursed
left,
position.
and John's out of the conversation.
Like that's why I picked last. Gina and Kyle were the first 2 picks. I could have easily been like, I'll be the third person because the 3 of us do the Strat Chat stuff, everything together, and then Mikey as the guest or whatever. Even though you're really just a regular now, you're not even in the opening credits. You weren't even as like the very special guest chatter. You're just part of the opening intro now. So, but like I feel like I could have easily made myself third, and I was like, no, I'm going as late as possible.
I was like, I don't want it.
Well, there was a request in the comments to review the draft picks. On Team Morgino, it's Caleb, obviously, wonderful pick.
Good pick.
Great pick. Already out of here.
Bad pick.
Kelly, and who is this? Julie?
Yes, the mom. Right? The single mom that works too hard.
Okay, yes. No relation to Chen Moonves.
That's right.
No.
Team Petty, we've got Jake, Kendra, Sabaya, and Brando.
It's a solid team.
It is
it's a good team. Honestly,
it is
a good team.
I'm really satisfied. Kendra's super quirky. Love her energy. Loving everything about her. Obviously, Sabaya goes without saying, like just fucking knockout champion. And Jake and Brando, like just good vibes. Just good vibes all along.
I'm nervous about Jake.
Me too.
It looks like he's having some troubles in the next on.
He's gonna have troubles. That whole lawyer thing is not really faring well for him.
Well, I mean, even just health wise. In the next on, it looked like he was like collapsing on the beach, and somebody was yelling, "Jake!" So,
I didn't see. I tried not to watch the next ons.
So
I feel like he'd probably be laying in the same ditch that I would be if I was on this show. So like, Kyle, SOS. Mikey selected D, Uncle Bruce, Katora, and Drew. Honestly, sans Bruce, I still think it's a good team. Like Drew. Not loving him, but I think he's good.
I'm imagining 3 out of 4 post merge. I'd say. I don't think Bruce makes it that far.
Really strong. You're feeling about your team. 3.
I'm imagining. I don't know. Well, remains to be seen. But my guess is I think D, Drew, and Katura all make it past the merge.
I feel good about that. I feel good.
Okay.
John selected Austin, J Maya. Apparently, there's another name I don't remember. Miss Emily and Sifu.
I feel good about half my team. I really like Austin and I really like Jay.
I like
Emily
Sifu and like
I like Sifu too, but that one segment where so first he got caught spying on people, which is just calm down, man. And then the whole segment where he was like, "Hey, Austin, when I was a kid, I used to punch trees really hard." Like it was just kind of like, and Austin was just kind of like, "All right, yeah." Like,
the thing is, Emily actually could go far in this game.
Yeah,
she does have a good mind for what this game is. I just don't like her, and I don't like how pointed some of her her attacks have been. It just
Sure.
seems to be all on POCs. That's a conversation for a different night, because we do have the challenge to get into, but she's just rubbing me the wrong way. I
Yeah.
don't see her energy with other people as it is directed at the POCs, and I don't like it. But the other game comments that she makes are very intuitive. She seems to be very perceptive. Like I think she's built for the game.
Sure.
I just don't like the vibes.
I agree.
I don't like vibes. That's all.
I agree with all of that.
That's all.
But
which leaves Sean and Brandon as the two we didn't choose.
Yeah, Matt Blevins was asking who were the two that we didn't choose, which I got to say, pat on the back to all of us, because we had a great read on Brandon. Yes. Nobody picked Brandon, and he was like the real first person to get voted out. Like Hannah just quit, but it wasn't going to be her, So the first person that was like formally, officially voted out was Brandon, and we all said, not for us.
Yeah.
So
no thanks. I'd rather that person sit undrafted than take him. Okay, that certainly does mean something. Sure does.
I do think Sean might be a missed opportunity, though.
I'm starting to feel that way a little bit. Sean seems like he could make it in this game for a while. He really does.
That's his name, right? I'm not making that up. Yeah.
Yes, Sean is his name.
I'm like, who? I had to go back to the thing. Right, Sean. Yeah, that could be an error. Yeah.
But okay, I guess we should wrap this up because we got to get to our challenge conversation. We're already running a few minutes behind, actually. So coming up, just to let everybody know, we've got tonight, already late. We're going to be talking about the Challenge USA immediately after this. Then sometime around 10:30, probably also late, we'll be talking about Big Brother 25, the events so far of this week. That's all times Eastern. And then this Thursday, we'll be back again with a Big Brother 25 wrap up for the week at, will that be 11:15 or 10:15?
It's 11:15.
11:15.
We're definitely settling into this 9 o'clock crap for the evictions again, which is like, much to all of our chagrin.
Yeah. So 11:15 p.m. Eastern this Thursday, we'll be finishing up our coverage for the week of Big Brother 25. And then we'll be back again, of course, for another Mega Manwan Monday next week with 3 streams again to, just to end off the challenge, right? So I just realized I didn't do this at all yet.
Manwan Monday.
All right.
I don't think we're ending the challenge next week. Didn't the next one say that we had one more episode before the finale? I think.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
I think you're right. So we got 2 more Mega
Yeah.
Manwan Mondays. Yeah. All right. Excellent.
And then Survivor can move to 9:30 if people are down.
Yeah, I'm down.
Or Big Brother moves up to 9:30. I mean, we'll talk about it offline. All right, but
it's many options.
Many options. Keeping it Manwan.
That's right. All right. Well, I think that's it, right? Find us on the socials at Strat Chat Pod. We are everywhere, including Blue Sky.
Blue Sky.
That's right. All right. Well, we'll see you in a few minutes.